of Belizean Workers' Rights. I am your host, YaYa Marin Coleman, and moving forward, every other Thursday night, I will be hosting alone because our brother co-host Dean Flowers has another obligation on Thursday nights. And so for the next 2 Thursday nights, we won't be having our regular Belizean Workers' Rights reasoning because of the 7 o'clock curfew time for the next 2 Thursdays. So we'll pay attention to when we can go back to the 9 o'clock curfew hours, and then Belizean Workers' Rights will return. Good night, Trisha, who has been our facilitator with great challenges. Good night. Our guest tonight is our sister farmer, Stephanie Ramirez. I'm so proud of this sister.
Good night.
Both her and her partner owns and operates Country Dream Farm Produce in the Cayo District. I see our brother, yes, from Belmopan. Well, make sure your country brother, you work Cayo Belmopanese sister. Yeah, I think I want to pay attention to you.
All right. Yeah, yo.
Yes, Stephanie. So, yes, sis, how are you being tonight? Stephanie, how are you feeling? I see you branding with your produce banner behind you.
Yes, I'm in my home office here. Yeah, I'm feeling good. And yourself?
I'm giving thanks that I'm alive and I'm well. I'm really thankful for that. Steph, well, first off, it's rare that we have a female farmer, much less baseball and flyer, one very femme one. So tell us, because we have these stereotypes of what a farmer may look like.
For sure.
We're not accustomed to seeing a woman farmer or a femme woman farmer. How did you get into farming?
I think it's somewhere in my DNA. Yeah. I think maybe my ancestors, they were definitely farming, and it came back generations after. I haven't farmed all my life, I can say that. Full time, I can say, well, not full time, but at least half of our day we do farming every single day. And so it has only been for the past 3 years, so I'm actually a beginner farmer. It happened very much organically. It wasn't anything that felt forced, that felt, not a day really feels like work on the farm. You know, when you're one in one with nature, it's a different feeling than really being out here and working out here. So giving up the city life, moving to the farm is actually one of the best moves I feel like I've ever made.
Well, I can't have this conversation without saying Stephanie is a part of the Big A Collective. So let's be clear on that.
Yes.
And so she came to farming with a history of being with the Big A Collective, being in the bush, putting on rubber boots, go out there, go chop, clear land, plant, build, cut wood. I mean, as a collective, Big A for the past year in particular, they've been active for over 10 years, but this past year they've been very focused on working in collectives, mostly every week. So she had that background. And how many acres are you farming at Country Dream Farm Produce?
Country Dream is on a 25-acre land plot. However, we have about 5 to 6 acres developed at the moment, because while we live at Country Dream, we are definitely putting work on our acre of land in Harmonyville. And of course, we are out there, assisting other community members to develop their land, and so we can develop the entire community. So Harmonyville is also one of our main focus as well.
When you all started at Country Dream Farm Produce, tell us how it is that was 3 years ago. What it was 3 years ago compared to what it is now.
Oh my gosh, 3 years ago, it was literally raw jungle. We went out there like crazy people, like our family definitely called us. Are you guys serious? For me, I think both of us, we just one day made up our minds and said, No more paying a landlord these big rent here in Belmopan, and let's make the move. We need to start planting our own food and ensuring what we're putting into our system. COVID had showed us that our immune system is very important, and we need to pay attention to it and ensure that we're putting the right things into our system to have a healthy body, and to withstand these deadly virus that are plaguing us right now. And so we are vegetarians, so being able to plant our own food and consuming our own food, just consuming what we eat, that was amazing.
Tell us how you prepare the land to farm. Like what time will I have to get up? It's primarily you and your partner. How many hours a day? I know you have on the dogs.
Yeah.
How to manage with the mosquito and the other creatures out there when rainy weather, if you don't got light, if you don't got water. Tell me about farm, because like brother, the president of Big A would tell you, David Barnett, farming is not for the weak of heart.
Yeah. First of all, farming is all about just adapting, being able to coexist with everything, with nature. Like when you live out in the city, you would see a scorpion and you would quickly just, your instinct is to kill it. But living on the farm, you see a scorpion, if it's not in the house and it's just out on the land, you think about how many years had that scorpion had to survive to get to that size, and you just watch it walk away. And learning to coexist, these animals, they feel your vibration and their energy, and so they won't really harm you if you're not in their way or they're not hungry. And so you learn to coexist and adjust to, give the mosquito and deposit when they bite. If you don't want to get bite, put on your repellent and or stay inside for that few hours, maybe 2 hours. They don't come the entire night, and they leave, at least where I am. And so yes, but living at farm, you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Some days I push it 5:30, some days even 6 on those days that I'm pulling myself out of bed. But the usual time is 5 o'clock. A farmer, you got to get up early. I don't believe in working in the 12 o'clock sun. So as it's coming on and the sun is rising above me, it's time to slow down and get ready to come in the city, because like I said, I'm a beginner farmer and we're at the developing stage. The farm, the business, everything is in its developing stage, and so the farm is not sustaining itself just yet and fully, and so we still have to come out and get the business rolling, make our money, because we work for ourselves, and so and go back to the farm. So it's half of the day on the farm for the most part, and the other half of the farm in the city, me in my home office, getting some work done, the theory part of it, and get going again. Sometimes there's not enough hours in our day.
What are you planting right now? Or what have you planted?
So right now, last year we had a lot of crops. This just, well, the dry season have passed us, and now with getting the rain, we have started planting again. We plant a lot of greens, so the kale, spinach, just a lot of greens. We do cilantros, colantros. We have pumpkin all the time, scallions. We have all the ground food, cassava, sweet potatoes, cocoa. We have plantain, bananas, a lot of, and then we're also, remember, we're developing, and so we keep planting out fruit trees. From 3 years to now, the size of our fruit trees, I keep smiling. I say nice things to them so that they grow faster. But seeing the progress, when you look back at pictures, sometimes Google tells you, look back at these pictures from 3 years ago, and I'm like, sometimes Kirk come to me or I go to him, look when there were no trees here, and we started developing on just a small piece where we could have set the house, and from there we continue cleaning and developing the land. So it's just being able to especially in this time of COVID, being able to not have the mental stress of life right now, being weighing on your shoulders, just that half of the day at the farm working and toiling the soil. It does a lot for you mentally, you know, for me
Do y'all
mentally.
use a tractor? Is it machine? Or you use post hole digger? What
Yes.
do they use for clear and dig hole?
Right now, it's a lot of manual work. Yeah, that I know. In the beginning, it's going to be hard work, but when you look at the long-term goal and that you're going to work towards, then you know it's not forever that we will be using weed whackers and lawnmowers. Sooner or later we'll have a tractor, you know, maybe a riding mower first and then a tractor after, but then you don't plan to work hard, you know, for the rest of your life manually. But in the beginning, to develop the farm, it's a lot of dedication. It's a lot of financial expenses, of course, because it's not cheap, you know, developing a farm, and the grass never stops grows. So while you're developing and you're planting your permanent trees, your crops, really you have to make sure you're maintaining it, because I'm big for the beautification part of it. I'm not the what somebody would call a typical farmer. I'm going to farm, you know, over ya bushy, over ya bushy. I want landscape and I want to you know, to have all the different trees and really enjoy the beauty of our farm. So
what about water?
At this very moment, so last year we had scheduled everything to dig our well, but unfortunately because of a lot of flooding we weren't able to. So since then we weren't able to do a well just yet. We have a water hole, we have a little seasonal creek that passes through the land, and we also transport our water in when needed. So that's what we're working with right now. That's why we're not doing like mass production of crops like that. However, when it comes to last year, during last year and year before, we were doing a lot of planting, selling our vegetables, but you know, being new to it, you learn as you go along. And so I realized, and just, you know, looking at the seasoned farmers and how they operate, I realized, okay, the farmer plants his vegetables, but the farmer isn't the one who he sells a wholesaler. And then the wholesaler sells to the retailer, and then it goes out to the market. So the farmer is really just farming. You don't have time. You think you have time in the beginning. You're trying to do everything, and so you don't have time to farm and go out and sell your vegetables. I mean, during the pandemic when nobody else couldn't go to work and everybody was, you know, we were able to do that delivery system. We were delivering our goods and people were just sending in their orders and it was working. But to develop the business and take it where we want it to be, we can't farm and sell our products at the same time, you know. So we decided that, you know, we're going to focus more on added value products, processing our crops and repackaging and different things like that. And so that's what we've been focusing on. And so soon you guys will be seeing a lot of products from Country Dream Farm Produce on the shelves.
Is it an organic farm? Do you use fertilizer?
So we don't use any chemicals. We use an organic fertilizer, the EM5 from William Usher. And so that is basically all the fertilizer we've been using. We do a lot of mulching. You know, we're vegetarian, so we always have a lot of vegetable scraps, and we do a lot of mulching and using just the
you know what the mulching, they don't we that farmer, what the mulching?
So mulching is when you get all the organic matter like from the ground. You would get the grass that you cut. So we don't burn, we don't do a lot of burning on the farm anymore. You know, we do a lot of with the same grass that we cut, we pile it in one place, we throw all our vegetable scraps on it. You can throw some manure on it, you can throw different solutions on it, organic solutions, and over time it breaks down back into soil, and that's what we use to put around and in our beds.
Tell me, If you remember what it feel like the first time you ate something that your hands grew.
It was the nicest thing I ever ate. Like the first time I ate a watermelon that I grew myself, cantaloupe, the sweet potatoes, the pineapples. Oh my gosh, that was the nicest fruit I ever ate, and I enjoyed every piece of it. It honestly tasted nicer.
What has been a tough part of your farming experience that you still struggle with?
Um, time schedule, because when you start farm, some days I say, all right, I need to get in by 11 because I need to make my social media post for the business, and I need to promote by 12 so that I have the afternoon to do delivery. And then when you start work and you just want to complete one task, it's hard to still leave at 11, and so I come in all 1 o'clock. But no, it's just hard to leave peace and tranquility, just seeing everything, especially at the stage where the farm is now. Like, you see the fruit trees, some of them even almost blossoming now, and you see the flowers growing, and you see everything just transforming. You can't stop admiring it.
So, you don't have animals on the farm?
Dogs. But other we're not into livestock just yet. We had some chickens. We had about 25, 30 chickens. They were not my responsibility because I did said I am still at the stage where I feel like I'm doing a lot of research. I am still practicing. I am still perfecting the craft of vegetation farming, and to just the workload that alone that gives, to just jump into livestock. I don't want to jump and I don't want to it's not what I feel like I can handle just yet. So but slowly we will go into some little livestock. I already told Kirk, yeah, that will be his baby. I am not. I'll deal with my plants and my vegetation, and he will deal with the livestock.
Do you have electricity out there? How have you adjusted to being out there in the wilderness?
Sorry, the only livestock that I want is bees. We're gonna do some honey production. I feel like I can handle those little things.
Yes, I support that. I was asking about electricity. How are you managing out there with the natural light of the stars and the moons and the four-legged animal out there?
A lot. There is everything out there, yeah. Like I said, you just have to learn to coexist in the nighttime. When it gets real quiet, you hear all these different songs. It's just, I wish I could record it sometimes, hearing the holler monkeys song right on the property. There is always a family of holler monkeys that comes onto the property. Sometimes you hear some weird noise. You can't even figure out what it really is, but there is no electricity. We're completely off the grid. We are powered by solar. All of our lights, everything, we're powered by solar, so no electricity. It feels so good to not see electricity bill on my gate anymore. I feel liberated.
I could imagine. Tell us about some of your value-added products. I see a sea moss fruit infused gel brand in the back, and I know you've been you're a regular at the market in Belmopan. So tell us more about your value-added products.
So the CMAS is one of our main products right now that we're promoting. We get our CMAS from, we are supporting the farmers, the different fishermen that brings in CMAS, and especially in this time where we have COVID plaguing us and we're trying to build up our immune system. CMAS contains 92 minerals out of the 102 that the body needs to perform well. And so if you are just consuming CMAS, it is like a natural tonic. It's like a natural everything to build up your immune system. And so that is one of our main products. What we do, we infuse it. We infuse it with different fruits, mostly alkaline fruits, and we sweeten it just a little bit with honey to make it a pleasant taste. So from the dried sea moss, we turn it into the gel and we infuse it. And so you would be able to put it in your smoothie, in your tea, in your yogurt, in whatever you're consuming. I even use sea moss to as a thickener, like you would use cornstarch, and you use it in your chop
You
suey,
need to
in
talk to
your
somebody when
food.
up. You
When
need to
I
talk to
cook,
somebody when
right?
up cook side that will can't start. But God, everybody
Okay,
else don't
it's
get
like a
it.
thickener, right? You use it in your hair because it's for hair, skin, and nails. And so you can use it for so many things in your hair. So you can use it for so many things, and it's one of the things that Belize have been promoting with the CMAS, with the seaweed farmers down in the south. And so that is our main product right now, but we have more products to come. We will be taking a honey production course starting October 4th with the Ministry of Agriculture. And from there, we will be going into honey production, especially that we use honey to sweeten our sea moss, and to also have honey, in the stores and available.
What are there different flavors in the sea moss, or is there
Yes.
one flavor?
No. There are many different flavors. We have the berry mix. We have soursop, mango. Well, mango season is almost out now. Papaya. I also do a turmeric honey. I do a hemp seed and honey. Let me see if I'm missing out. I have an organic chocolate flavor. An organic chocolate flavor, and we'll have more byproducts of the sea moss as well coming as we go along as well. But the sea moss have been a really it has been becoming a bit popular here with our Belizean people. In the beginning, all we knew sea moss as well, not even sea moss, but locally called seaweed, right? We know seaweed as just the drink with the milk. But sea moss it's a super food. It's so powerful, and the amount of benefits that sea moss have, it's great for people who suffer thyroid issues, people with digestive problem, people with acne, people that suffers a lot of tiredness, and it builds up the immune system really fast. Like in the afternoon, sometimes when I'm tired, I would just take a spoon of the sea moss gel, and you feel your energy comes back. So
What's the size of the packages that you have, and what's the cost? And then let people know how they can contact you or where they can purchase it or see samples of it.
okay, so we're located here in Belmopan, but we do deliveries, and we also use BPMS and the different courier services them to ship countrywide. So we do free delivery within the Belmopan area, and we ship countrywide. They can find us on Facebook at Country Dream Farm Produce, or Instagram Country Dream Farms, Country Dream Sea Moss Gel. The bottles of sea moss, they are the ball jar sizes, and they are $25 for the jars.
25
And
Belize dollars.
it's 25 Belize dollars, and it's like a 2 weeks and a half supply. Yeah. So
What does
in the
it
morning,
taste like? Like, what's the texture and what does it taste like?
so the texture is like a gel-like, it's like a gel-like texture, and depending on the flavor that you order, like if you get a soursop, it's going to taste like a soursop, like a yogurt, but with a thicker texture. And
So can you just eat the sea moss straight out of the container?
Yes, so that is the reason we do the fruit infused one. So most people, if you just buy a plain sea moss, it's very bland. And so most people would want the infused one where it tastes like you're eating some yogurt or something of that texture, and it's sweetened with honey, so it's not bland, it brings flavor, and it's a multivitamin, it's an organic multivitamin. And so you can just take a teaspoon in the morning, one in the night. You get up feeling really refreshed in the morning as well.
Let's sound like I have a bossy master. Still a long time
No.
ago, guys. What that boat. So I have
Yeah,
to
and it also contributes to weight loss because it suppresses your appetite. It fills you like in the right places, and so you don't have that craving for a lot, always, wanting to put something into your mouth. So it suppresses your appetite, and so it contributes to weight loss.
well, since hand wash hand, I make one offer to Country Dream Farm Produce, right? When you could take some Belize to others, get them
Okay.
to me. I want
Okay.
that at a library and call people and tell them. I do it for one of my brother where I had actually still have one.
Okay.
Ginger, yellow ginger.
Uh-huh.
And he's in San Miguel. And so he had
Mhm.
orders, and then I said, well, I had a pickup point for Belize City
Yeah.
for production because he's down south. So if let's say you have 10 people order and you could get the product to me in Belize City, and then what I did for the person, I just deposited it in the bank. But we have another 4 minutes, but that made me think about how do you create other types of partnership, because bartering, especially for
Yeah.
small producers, is very important, that you're able to do that kind of labor exchange. Do
Yeah.
you do things like that with your farmers or the other
I
people in your community?
I definitely do. I get excited to barter. I love promoting bartering. I tell everybody, if I have something that you want to purchase and you have something you think I want to purchase, let's barter. I mean, we practice that a lot among our Big A family as well. When Miss Karen has something, we barter fruit trees. We love to barter. And so it's something I definitely promote, and I've been doing so. Yeah.
What's people's response to you when you'll be at the Bemapan market sometimes, right?
Yes, yes. I haven't been there like for the past month and something, but I will be going out back.
What's people's response to you when you identify yourself as a farmer in Belize?
They would laugh. That would be they smile, they laugh, like they're wondering if they should really believe me if I am actually the one doing it. Um, but but after talking to them and they realize that, oh, she's honest, she's telling the truth. They're really it's something, it's inspiring because a lot of people walk away saying, you know what, I going to farm. If you could do it, I could do it. And I get a lot of that just looking at me. And if you don't know me and you see me in public, you wouldn't guess that I am a farmer. After I take out the rubber boots, I wash my nails real good, and I get cleaned up real good. And so a lot of people, they don't believe me if they're just meeting me for the first time.
Have you met other women farmers in Belize?
I am around other women farmers. Yeah, yeah. The Big
Ooh.
A family, Miss Karen. There is Miss Karen. There
Okay,
is
so there's Sister Karen. Who else?
all right,
And I
off the top of
mean, this is a sister who, and we really need to make an effort to bring these sisters to the public, so they will really know that we exist. And so you hear generally, we not farm, but we're making general statements because we don't know who the people are who are farming
yeah,
and what it is that they're doing. But it's absolutely important. And these are Black sisters. I will say that proudly. Young Black sisters who. What's absolutely amazing for me with these two sister farmers, both Karen and Stephanie, is that they work harmoniously with their partners. So they are examples of power Black couples that oftentimes we don't see or hear of because we're just bombarded by this negative singular narrative of Black brothers, for example, or women being primarily head of households. When that does happen with African Black people, but there are other stories as well that is oftentimes not shared with the public. And we don't see enough of, especially during this COVID-19 time. We need something that's going to make us feel good about ourselves, that will make us feel hopeful about ourselves. So definitely that's something that we need to do more of. It's 10:29. So at this point, we usually would hand over to Brother Dean, but he's not here. So this is where we say it's time for the participation of the people who are here. So I know Brother Philip Tate is here. Let's see who we have. 6 people. Well, I never even look to see the who are leading at the, okay, we have Brother Hubert. Oh, Sister Musila is here. I didn't know. I got put on my glasses. Musila is here. Good night, Musila. Brother Philip is here. Good night, good night, good night. Thanks for joining us.
Good night.
We have a crew tonight. So let me ask the participants, Brother Hubert, if you have any questions you'd like to ask our sister farmer, Stephanie Ramirez from Country Dream Farm Produce. She runs and owns that farm with her partner, one of the original Big Ear brothers, Kirk Garnett. Any questions, participants?
Yeah. Well, good night, Miss Stephanie. Good
night.
Good to see you. You look quite relaxed and quite happy about what you're doing. It's quite amazing, quite an amazing story. What it seems to me though that what you're accounting for, what you're accounting is the fact that there's much more than just farming that is really at stake here. It seems to me that you have to have a philosophical view of life and survival that enables you to do what you're doing. Because I hear you talking about living with nature. I hear you talking about enjoying the peace of the serenity of the environment. Yeah, I hear you talking about different things which I don't know that the average farmer is also into those things. And I see that there's a similarity with the Mennonites, for instance. They seem to love they seem to have the same kind of
mentality,
view of the whole thing. And I think that perhaps is what has led to their success. And I believe if that's the case, then you're really following quite a good model. I'm not going to ask you about the vaccine yet because the Mennonites talk about the vaccine. But the point though is that that I think is good. I was just asking about the level of preparedness and training for this kind of thing. You seem to be quite articulate in terms of the farming and what you're doing, and I'm wondering to what extent you have done, you've been trained in this whole matter of farming, or is it something that you see that's necessary, or you think that is a waste of time?
No. It's very necessary, and I think that is where we want to change the mindset of everybody, not only female, not only being young, not only being Black, but everybody. Farming is very important. The other day, it showed us last year when everything went on pause. Some people were begging for help because they felt like they were going to die. They weren't making any money, and they had nothing to eat. I think the most important thing is having something nutritious to put into your system, especially in a time of distress. And so it showed us that just planting our food, it doesn't have to be to sell all the time, but planting your food to be able to sustain yourself, when the lights goes out, or when whatever happened, and look what is about to happen, another lockdown. But more important than that, we want to be able to show our people that you can be successful businessmen and women as a farmer. And so maybe we look back at our ancestors, like my mom is a East Indian and my dad is a Garifuna man. And so my mom, I know the elders, they used to work in rice fields. So you tell them anything about farming, that's like a scar for them. They try to shy away from that. But changing that mindset, and they were working for people in their cases, but changing that mindset and showing people the value of land and what you can do with your land and how you can develop it and become successful businessmen and women through farming. Because we see other the Mennonite come into our country and do it. We see the Central American immigrants, they come into the country and they progress. And so we need to adapt that mindset and know that it's not always about being a bank teller, a liar, or a doctor, but being a farmer, you can become a successful businessman or woman and to be able to leave something for your future generations.
Yeah. I know that there is a group of persons who go out by the, what they call it, the Blue Moon. The Blue Moon restaurant on Fridays, I think it is. You go there as well?
I've been out there a couple times, but I would
Okay.
usually be at the Belmo Pan Market.
Market. Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. Yeah, well, girl, I must sort to say I congratulate you, man. I mean, you're rather unusual. And I think
Thank
it's
you.
good that Belize have persons like yourself to venture into this kind of field. And I believe it should be you're more model to other young people, and I believe you should really promote it more. I mean, it's the first time I heard of you actually. I don't really go to the market as such with them, but I think it's something you should perhaps go to schools and talk about to encourage young people like and young women too to get
Yeah.
involved with it. So,
Yeah. Sometimes only YaYa get me to get out and and come on these things,
yes, yes.
It's important, and I know for sure, and you all know since COVID-19 that more people have actually put their hands in soil in Musilla Center pits. And actually, how excited you get when you pull that fruit or that vegetable from the branch. And according to Musilla, the best sweet pepper I ever tasted at Musilla.
True. It is true. It is true. It is the sweet pepper was actually sweet. I mean, you hear the term sweet pepper, and I don't know why it got that name, but the one that came to whatever it should have come to, the one sweet pepper, I tell you, uno, that sweet pepper was the sweetest sweet pepper I ever ate. Stephanie, I want to congratulate you. And as I'm listening to you, I'm wondering why the Ministry of Education does not introduce agriculture into schools. I might know that they used to have a program in primary school years ago. And
one second, must like put your camera and not see no at all. I need to see no.
Yeah. Why you have to see it, man? Yes. Yeah, I don't have good lighting tonight. Don't have good lighting. Yes, I know that they used to have a program in the primary schools, even in the city.
REAP.
Yes, REAP. And at schools that hardly had any space, you used to see them have gardens. But as things go in this country, a regression, we don't have it anymore. And I am thinking that it is something that, listening to you, Stephanie, it is so obvious that this is what we should do. Yeah. And we should be encouraging persons to do it.
Yes,
and we don't do things that are so obvious. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to think that if we would be telling our young people about this and having you talking to them, yeah, and not only you, but others that are doing it. And so that is what I'm thinking and wondering what one can do to get the ministry to do something, because we're always talking about these things that we think that people should do. We think the ministry should do this. We think the government should do this. But the key is how does one get them to do it? Apart from talking.
One of the things that I would say, Musla, because it's not that they haven't heard us. I can only say they don't have the will. So then we have to organize as people and start to do it. We just have to do it. We cannot, and people have been doing it. I must say, we've heard more people planting since COVID-19. I mean, like really people have been doing it. Hey, Kebe has been planting as well at home. I went and she cooked for me one day and it felt so good. She went and, Kebe, what was it? Some vegetable. Was it onion, Kebe? I know the answer me. And but even though I never planted, and it feel good to see she just gone and pull it out for the plant and wash it and drop it in the frying pan and it was good.
I might do that with my time, and it is only time. I feel so good when I just go to on my back porch and pluck off some leaves, and I feel like the top of the world, I really the plant. And it isn't even the yard, it is only the back porch in some pan. but I feel very good. And yes, I hear YaYa saying that we need to do it more, but I always think of what can we do to really make the authorities, what kind of pressure can we bring on them apart from us doing our thing, we do our thing. But what can one really do to let them recognize that, they should be thinking and doing this?
What I've learned with the experience with UEF and African Emancipation Day, there was a need for something to be organized and did it, and we didn't give them any energy. We were just, this is what we're going to do. And then 7 years later, they acknowledged it. I don't know, they just did. So it's for us to just have the faith and do the work.
Yeah.
And just start building for the
get
people
out
to
and
just
do it.
If every street get a street captain and say, okay, we want to start, and every street, so street long, you might need 2 and 3 street captains. And that way, and then you say, listen, we stop going to market, the market vendors was have to complain, the people are not buy for with no more. But we have to start to do it collectively.
Yeah. I guess so.
Just know, Stephanie.
That's okay, but yeah, to free ourselves, we have to feed ourselves, right? At least to some extent of it. So if we start working together, we definitely can inspire each other. Growing up, I didn't see much people who look like me farming. I don't feel like I had much to get inspired from. So I decided, instead of, asking and wanting to see someone else come out and do it, hey, I will do it. And then now that I am doing it, I will invite others to come out and do it. One of these days, very soon, Country Dream will be having summer programs for kids. Come into our garden and start putting your hands in the soil, from 6 years old.
Brother,
that sounds good.
I come to this conversation with a different perspective because of what I have done for the last 30 years.
Put your camera on so we can see you.
Sister YaYa, the camera is not the camera is not very appealing, but nonetheless, because you've asked, I will do so.
Look at Philip. You look quite good enough.
I need to go to get a haircut. I need to do a lot of
so
different
not make it tell you no nonsense. It look quite good enough. Look at Philip. Not come with your
camera.
thing tonight.
I have worked in the Ministry of Agriculture Statistics Division for a very long time. And agriculture, pity the nation that depends on someone else to feed them, more so with respect to what happened with the pandemic and what we are going through now. If you think the pandemic was bad, wait till the food crisis comes, because it's coming. Agriculture and water goes together. It cannot be divorced. If you don't have water, you don't have food. So there's a few things that we have to do in this country. And I like the fact, Stephanie, that you started from the other end. Even though your farm produces, you're looking at value-added products that you need to do. Maybe one of the recommendations you could also do is ask the Ministry of Health whenever they have their food handlers certification. You could do that as a start, because at the end of the day, it helps you to be able to ensure that the products that you're selling meet a minimum standard. The next conversation I think you also have to have too is with the Bureau of Standards, to be able to get your labels and your items certified, so that would help. So there's a lot that could be done. I like the fact that you're offering assistance for young people to come and understand what soil mean, because they're not dirt. The soil, and soil is life, because if we intend to produce and feed ourselves, we have to be able to ensure that we can produce the commodities that we need. Now, I don't know if you have ever heard of regeneration. Stephanie?
Sorry,
Have you ever heard of regeneration?
I've heard the word, but I at this moment, I don't know what it is.
Okay. Well, regeneration is looking at agriculture from a different perspective. Please remember the conversation that is taking place on the planet currently. I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's happening in the US and Canada as it relates to fossil fuel. But some of the conversation, because YaYa asked if you use organic, if you use inorganic fertilizer, and there's a push now, not only to move away from animal-based, but also for plant-based, no? To be able to ensure that we could make sure that we could protect our planet, given the issues of what's happening as it relates to climate change. And the reality is that it's real. Come home to Belize, my hope is that we can get, unfortunately, what we keep doing in Belize is that we keep changing Sista pits. When REAP was in place, it was a burden. So REAP got pushed to the curb and we neglected agriculture. It is coming back now because of the fact that we have to feed ourselves. Belize have a significant trade imbalance because of the fact that we import so much. Belize import to the tune of over $300 million worth of food annually. That excludes the fact that we produce another $500 million worth of food. So, Stephanie, I applaud you. You are a sight for sore eyes, given the fact that we need more people to get in agriculture. Part of the conversation you spoke about too was the fact that you are looking at the issue of distribution. And how can you get your products distributed from Corozal to PG? Especially if you're a small producer. So all of these things have to be brought to the forefront to be able to ensure that we can get products of what it is that you're doing distributed nationally at an affordable cost, even with the cost of transportation and the cost of fuel. There's a lot that we could do. I have started with PSU where we are working on trying to encourage households to produce some of their own produce in the backyard. And then we will move to a barter system where we can trade products. So you might not have cash, but you might have a product that you want to trade or barter. I have 1 pound of potato, you have 1 pound of sweet potato, or whatever it may be. So that at the end of the day, it reaches a point where all this stuff is collected and then it is sold either domestically or as well exported. So there's a lot that we could do. There's a lot of models throughout the world. And it starts with farming. If we don't farm, if we don't produce, we will not be able to survive. So I like the initiative, but it's Sister YaYa doing all of this work. So it's just connecting all the dots together to be able to ensure that we could make it work so that at the end of the day, whenever the food crisis comes, at least Belize is ready and prepared.
Ready. Yeah, and we can feed ourselves.
And we can feed ourselves, certainly.
Philip, I like that initiative that you say that the PSU is thinking about. I don't know if you have started to do anything.
Well, last year I bought seedlings for those persons who were interested. And I had some training for those persons who were interested in learning how to grow the seedlings in order for them to do it in their backyard. You could use waste products from out of your kitchen. You can use some of the items that you dispose of to be able to grow stuff in. So it is just to see how best I could get a cadre of people that are interested. And once I get them hooked, then they are mine after that.
How many persons did you get?
35 people I started with.
And how many are still doing?
35.
What the 35 of them have kept it up?
35 of them have kept it up, and they are complaining that I'm moving too slow. They want to speed up this process to be able to ensure that they can get a more diverse amount of products, because I think we only started with about 5 or 6 different plants. I think we started with tomato, both the table and the kind of different varieties of tomatoes you have. I've started with cucumber and some of the easier things to grow. And once they get that under their belt, then the sky's the limit in terms of lettuce and some of the other stuff that we could do.
That
because
sounds good.
I'm
proud of you.
One of the conversations too is that we want to do because when you produce certain types of vegetable, You could integrate it with fishing. There is a gentleman in the Belize district that does lettuce, and at the bottom he has fish, and there's a whole system that is developed to be able to ensure that we could feed ourselves. And it is right, Stephanie, we need to be able to feed ourselves. And if we don't do that, we'll be in serious trouble.
That sounds good, Philip. I congratulate you.
Yes.
No, I'm just getting started. Just getting started.
No, but I mean, even to just get started, that is good.
When I invited Stephanie, I tell people, no, this is one of the most beautiful part of organizing. When things happen organically and in more rich and inclusive than your mind could ever imagine. There's no way I can think this or what is going. I know the brother work in agriculture, but I don't know nothing else about. So that it's good that I'll make a note, because we have to start to build our resource. So we know you are a resource person.
Yeah.
So we can do a map of the country and say, okay, these are our resource points, so that you meet people. And I meet a lot of people. If I'm going to write down everybody where I meet and say, I had to grow tea, I had to grow fever grass, I had to grow tomato, then I'm like, okay, in this part of the community, I know this where power can find fever grass. For start to do that kind of community mapping, because people are really, they're doing way more than we know they're doing. Yeah, and then they may I think, okay, like I don't have enough thing for the right. I want to make that small commitment. Start to write down when I meet people, where they live and what it is that they're growing. And then ask them, what is it that they need? Because at minimum, people need, they're just at home and they start to plot and they say, what do I do next? They don't have any resource person. So at least if we know what their needs are, is to connect those people who are already handing dirt with a resource person. And Brother Philip just...
Part of the conversation to Sister YaYa is the issue, and Stephanie will figure this out very quickly, is that we have to start to work too on, in agriculture systems, they call it a germplasm bank. But a germplasm bank is where you take indigenous seeds and produce, cassava cuttings, the different types of seeds that you can then share with other people. That you can then, you don't have to go buy those things, because if you have to depend on Monsanto, you will go broke.
Yeah.
If you have to depend on the pharmaceutical companies or the companies that sell you things, we have to be able to ensure that we could bring people together. And as you said, Sister YaYa, how do you connect all these dots and you can share cuttings and things with each other, so that at the end of the day, everybody is on the same page to be able to ensure, because there's a lot of indigenous knowledge and products in this country that we don't utilize, that we should utilize.
Definitely. And that is one of the things that I really promote. A lot of the times, you know, I get called from all of my friends now, like I'm the bush doctor, I'm the farmer, I'm everything right now. And I get the calls and my friends would tell me, bring me lemongrass, vervine, some basil, whatever it is. I bring the basil, I bring the lemongrass, but I also bring them a plant, because you want to encourage them, to show them how easy it is to grow, you know, instead of every time I don't have a problem with anybody asking me for anything, but at some point you want to be able to, you know, do it. And so I definitely have about 7 different varieties of cassava. I am definitely collecting all my heritage seeds. I have a really nice little nursery and farm bank.
That's the idea.
And it's to share, because when we started farming, it was people giving to us, and that's how we started. Oh, you moved to the farm, here are some cassava sticks, here are some fruit trees, some soursop. And I realized a lot of the development was what people gave to us, and so giving back, it feels so good. And you know, who some money not grow up on a tree? Because I got a Springfield and you pay 17, 18, 20 something dollars for a grafted plant. And you know, when you do all these things yourself and you say, wow, I'm giving away, you know, for somebody's birthday gift, I no longer have to buy gifts anymore. But it's valuable, and you know, it's worth something. Some money does grow on tree.
And then to complement the problem to Stephanie, is the fact that you're easy on the eyes too, that even complements the situation.
What?
Listen to this now.
I want to go on there now.
No, I'm just saying.
No.
I'm just saying. If you see a man in boots, if you see somebody when well put together, Stephanie says she upgrade quite quickly and easily in terms of conversion from her boots to her shoes. So that in itself changes the mentality of what agriculture should be, because it's not only in the Caribbean, they used to tell us, oh, no, we're going to just plant the sheen, but it's more than just that. And if you bring a different orientation and a different face to agriculture, then it changes the paradigm completely, that it's more appealing. Because there is going to be
points. It's one of her selling points. Did you see the picture on that flyer? She was very intentional in putting that picture on the flyer. She's a femme for, like, when you see when she pictures of what she put, like, she's not a farmer. She just a pose next to the plant. Like a model. Like, seriously, like, that is not the image that we, so.
Exactly.
Long flowing hair. Long flowing hair. I did not the long flowing hair. No farmer, the farm with the hair, the fly all over their face.
This is how I have to bun it up.
Not only that too, but I think it's also too when we don't, because the other side of the equation too is our Mennonite population. Yeah. They're doing very well. They're not they complain. They're doing very well in terms of their ability to produce commodities. And one of the saving grace for this country was that most of the domestically consumed products were produced domestically. So we didn't have to pay for bringing it into Belize, like other Caribbean countries who had to find foreign exchange to be able to bring in those stuff domestically. And that was one of the saving grace for this country. The other issue too is the issue of water rights and how we could use water, because you cannot use BWSL water to wet your plants because it becomes more expensive, and the rainwater is far much better than the
chlorinated water.
So
it's the
harvesting
time is
water.
10:57.
Certainly.
What already, YaYa?
I know the time flies when we're
having fun, you see?
I know. Yes.
I was like, an hour? What am I going to say for an hour? But it went by so quickly, right?
Have enough time.
This is one of our best shows. It really was. It really was. Final thoughts you want to share with us, Stephanie, before we close out? Remember, the next 2 Thursday nights, we're not having a show because I usually come to the Library of African and Indigenous Studies to have the program. And because it's 7 o'clock, then I'm not able to come. So that's the word right now.
You have to have it for your home or somewhere else?
My home is not an option. I'm working on it. If I'm able to work it out, fine. But right now, the word is the next 2 Thursday nights. I'll have to figure out something, because if it goes beyond next 2 Thursday nights, I'll have to figure out something.
The 23rd and the 30th, you won't be available.
Right. On the 23rd and the 30th, we won't have a show.
Okay.
So final thoughts, Stephanie.
Final thoughts. I just want to encourage, really. I think I took up one of the best endeavors to be able to leave an impact while I'm making an income. You know, it couldn't get better than that. I just want to encourage people to plant and grow their food. You could imagine, like Mr. Tate said, the food crisis is really yet to come. And you know, when it comes, people get what you know, after hunger, who can look at their kid and look at them hungry, and so it elevates to crimes and all different things, because people are hungry, and you can't tell a kid there is no food. And I can tell you from experience that if a lockdown comes today for the next 2 weeks and you're not able to leave your home, travel inter-district or work, I am able to eat as a farmer. I can eat for the next, and I will continue planting. So I will always have food. I have food to share with my family members. I have food to share with friends and to people that don't have. And that's one of the most fulfilling feeling, to be able to give somebody some food in a time where they have nothing. And so even if it's in your backyard, I think a lot of our young people don't put value on land. A lot of our parents, they own land, but if it's not in city limits, we don't want it, right? Take up the initiative, tell grandpa you'll take that land, and you know, even if it's just an acre, 2 acres, and you start to put down some ground food, because that's the easiest thing. You really start feel like a farmer when ground food start growing and I have to take care of it. And you know, and as opposed to going into these 3 months crops that frustrates you because something start eating your crops, and you so start off with ground food. You will definitely feel like a farmer. Some melon, some pumpkin. I got some okra seed 3 years ago when we moved to the farm. I've never bought okra seed. It's the same natural selection that I do. Pepper, I have 4 different variety of peppers that I've had for 3 years. Pumpkin, I have about 4 different variety of pumpkin that I've had for years. And so I keep my seeds, I share my seeds, and I don't think life gets more gratifying than that, you know.
Thanks, Stephanie. It's time to close off. Thanks everyone for participating.
Well done, well done, well done, well done. Well done, well done. Good job, Stephanie. Good job.
Thank you, and good night, guys.
Thanks.
Good night, everybody.
Good job. Terrific,
It was
terrific.
definitely a
Careful,
pleasure.
everybody. Still
Yes, stay
COVID-19.
safe. All
One
the best.
love.
Good night.
Take care.
Love,
Bye for
love.
now.
Good night.
Good night.